guys. Welcome to the HavocTV Podcast. We are
Yay!
we're so excited to be here. I'm Gianna, and this is Stephanie.
Hi, guys.
I will talk about myself for 1 second, and then I'll let Stephanie talk about herself. I am a true crime junkie, primarily studying psychopaths, serial killers, sociopaths. I love it. I love them. I love the way that they think. And so over the past 10-ish years, I've dove into cases. I've done so much research. I listened to all of the really serial killers and psychopath type psychology behind everything. Jesus.
You got
And
it.
yeah, I got it. It's fine. And that's real. I'm a mom. I live in upstate New York, and I talk about true crime all day, and I read cases. It's like I'm super interested in what Stephanie does as well, because that's how I see the cases. So I'm gonna let Stephanie tell you what she does and take the floor.
Hi, guys. I'm Stephanie. I live in New York, specifically on Long Island. I'm not originally from Long Island, though. I am from New Jersey, so I have both accents, so I apologize in advance. I am a career public defender, which means I am a criminal defense attorney. I have done public defense since I graduated from law school. It is my true passion. Don't come for me though, because I love criminal defense work. So I work with the people that Gianna studies about, and it really is my life aspiration, I guess, and that's pretty much it. And we
Yeah.
just sort of work really well together, and we bounce off each other really, really well, and we are able to sort of dissect this stuff really well, so we have a good perspective on the cases that are going on right now, because there's a lot of them. A lot.
So many like in the works. And I really, just speaking to our dynamic, one place that I really lacked in my studying was with the legal situation, with the court process, with reading the documents. Like I can read them, but I guess my brain, like I can't fully understand them to the extent that obviously Stephanie can. And she is phenomenal at explaining things. So you guys are really going to be able to not only hear a lawyer who is involved every single day with this stuff talk about it, you're going to be able to learn it, which is huge for me because I need somebody like Stephanie to say it to me even a few times. You guys are going to definitely hear me ask the same question a few times to her, because sometimes it's hard. I mean, the legal stuff is super hard.
It is not easy to understand, even for those of us who practice it every day. So, especially when it's a case that's outside of my jurisdiction. So, if I don't know something, I will tell you I don't know something, or I will do the research and get back to you, because that's the way the law works. So, the laws in New York are different than the laws in Idaho, which is where our first case is going to come from. So, I always am looking up what it means, so that way I make sure that I'm telling you guys what's going on, and making sure that the information that you're getting is right, and it's not speculation, and it's facts, and it is what the law is.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the super important part of this is we need to know what's going to happen for sure, why it's happening for sure, and then what is happening for sure, like in the case. So we know the documents come out, and that is fact, right? And once we have the factual knowledge, then we don't have to think about it anymore. Like that is the fact of the case. Now we can just like keep going and thinking about it until we get the new fact of the case. And that's like in the ongoing ones.
Yep.
Um, so
The building blocks.
yeah, the building blocks of the case, because I know that you guys, if anybody knows me, and I know a lot of you probably won't know me that's listening to this, I am somebody who loves to think about the cases as they're like ongoing, right? If I'm reading a case about a case that happened a long time ago, I don't have to wonder about the case because it just is, it's over. I don't have to theorize, I don't have to think about it. But one of my favorite pastimes is theorizing and like thinking about like, could this have happened? But I'm not somebody who will, once I hear a fact, negate it or like dismiss it. I get like, then I'm like, oh, okay, so that couldn't have happened because of that. Okay, so now let's rethink it. And I just have fun thinking about what could have happened because I'm crazy and I'm obsessed with psychopaths and why they do these things and all of that. But I'm really excited to use everything that our whole toolbox that we have. And I think it's just going to be really awesome because we have a case starting, or a trial starting in just like a little under 2 weeks.
Yes, April 3rd.
I'm so
April 3rd.
excited. So it
Yes.
is in Idaho, but it's probably not the case that you guys are thinking about when you hear Idaho, because Idaho's
Yeah.
apparently there's something in the water there, right? So, um, but this is the Lori and Chad Daybell, or Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell. I don't know. People yell at me when I call her Lori Daybell because I don't know why. She just like legally didn't change her name, but for all intents and purposes, she was married to Chad Daybell.
Yes, that is correct. They got married
Like,
and are still married.
right, and are still married. She just didn't have time to like go to the social security office and change her
Right.
license before she was arrested. So let's just keep that in mind too. So yeah, that's where we're gonna start.
Yep, that is exactly where we're going to start.
This case is wild.
We say that a lot. I always am like, this is wild. So get used to hearing that. It is. It's pretty crazy.
And so I did tell some people that I was on live last night on TikTok, because follow me and Stephanie on TikTok. We will put everything like in the description of our TikToks and where to follow us and all of those details. But I found something new. Like, I find something new every time I look.
I
And I
know.
found
I know.
something new, and I was telling everybody that I'm going to show it to you like for the first time tonight, because we want like your genuine reaction. I think your jaw is going to drop. So 6 o'clock every night we go live to talk about the cases on TikTok. But I'm very excited about that. I just want to I've been studying this day and night for
Yes.
weeks now, and I'm just
Yep.
like, how am I finding new shit right now?
Because it's everywhere. There's always something that we didn't know, and that's what's so much not fun. Fun is the wrong word. But what's so interesting about the law is that there's always something like hiding around the corner and you're just like, "Ooh, that's new. When did that happen?" And then you're like, "Oh, crap." Like, I don't know how that's
The
going to help
list of details in this case, the
pages.
sheer I was going to say the sheer pages of documents in this case.
Yeah.
I don't know where, like, I
Voluminous. I said
voluminous.
I say this all the time, is that like the prosecutors always cite, and they cite it in the Lori Vallow like discovery responses, and a lot of the most recent issues in this case have been discovery related. And the prosecutor keeps saying, "Well, the discovery is voluminous," in all his response papers. And prosecutors always say the discovery is voluminous, the discovery is voluminous, and defense attorneys never get to say, "Well, I have voluminous." Like, we don't ever use that word, but I got to use that at work the other day, like in something that I was doing, and I got really pumped about it because I was like, I don't ever get to use that word in something I'm doing, and I like got really excited about it. Like, I was a nerd. I had a nerd moment.
It's so funny because that word is like, obviously people like me, we use like voluminous as like my
Like
hair
our
is nice and
hair,
big
yeah,
today. And you guys are using it just like as like a lot.
yeah, like a lot of documents,
Right, like the volume of it. And I'm just
yeah.
like, oh, voluminous, like hair? Like, no, Gianna, that is not what we mean.
A lot of documents, a lot of phone calls, a lot of text messages, a lot of discovery, a lot of discovery.
There's also so many people involved that you have to
Hmm.
get those things from. Like, it's not
Hmm.
just Lori's text messages or just Chad's or just like, it's 17,000 people of messages that you have to
Yeah.
get. Um, it's just wild. And then just the aspects of the case where like one part of the case fully takes place in another state, and is
Yes.
still an ongoing thing.
2 different states. We have Hawaii and Arizona.
Yes. Yes. So it's a lot. There's a lot of police officers involved. Like there's a lot of attorneys involved. I mean, it's wild. And so that is where we're going to start. And so we kind of wanted to come on today and explain to you guys what the plan is, because I love a good heads up, a good plan set out so that I know exactly what's going to happen. I get a little flustered when things change on me
Yes.
on the drop of a dime.
A good list.
Love a good list, love a good plan. Um so we're going to start next episode will be our full what has happened.
Leading up to. Yes.
Right. What has happened so far in this case. And then there's going to be then we're going to do our daily recaps when the trial starts on TikTok.
Hmm.
And then we'll do a full weekly recap here for you guys.
Yes. Yes. And that's going to be the interesting part because the trial is scheduled to start on April 3rd. So, and what's important to remember is that the media is not allowed in the courtroom for this trial. So, they have been banned from the courtroom for this trial. So, you're going to need the weekly recaps from us to make sure that you know everything that happened because we're going to be compiling the list of everything from all of the different news sources, all the different Twitters, all the different TikToks, everything to make sure that you have the most accurate account of what happened that week prior in this trial, in this case.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be where people are going to get frustrated, is that because they can't see it. So, and then the only thing that they can really do is like read documents that they don't understand, but that's what we're here for. That's why we're
Right.
going to do this. So it's not a frustrating process. And we're going to be taking on the burden of doing it all for you, except me and Stephanie really enjoy it.
Yes, we do. And looking forward to this coming week, we will find out whether or not Lori Vallow is going to be up for the death penalty. So we find that out Tuesday. So stay tuned for that as well, because that's going to be the big one for this coming week. So that's,
I know, I'm so excited to find out.
I
I'm
know, me
super excited
too.
to find out what they're going to say because I could see both arguments.
What do you think they're going to say?
I don't know. I really think that I think it will depend on if the prosecutor really thinks that they can prove it that way.
I think it's going to be no.
I was going to say I think that the prosecutor will be able to prove their case much easier if like the death penalty is not on the table, and the jury will be much more comfortable making decisions and stuff like that. Like it's just not this thing looming over, because if they find out that she didn't do it with her own two like bare hands, they might feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, they really might.
It's kind of like life in prison is basically the same as getting the death penalty, because you're not really killed like that. And it's not like she's going to go tomorrow and be executed. So,
Right. I think there's enough issues where the judges now again, I'm probably wrong. I'm usually wrong in these
I know.
situations,
I know.
but I'm usually wrong in these situations.
I don't think that you're wrong. I think that it's just because another human is making the decision that it's so unpredictable. No matter like the decision you would make is not the decision somebody else would make.
It's so unpredictable, but and it's been so back and forth because her competency has been at issue this whole time that it's just been up in the air.
The way I see that is like if you can be competent enough to plan murders and like conspire to murder somebody, you can be competent enough to like do all of this.
Well, she hasn't been found guilty of either of those things yet.
Yes, true. Yes. Okay, so if you can be if she had did do it. We'll say if she did do it.
If she could be charged with them.
Yeah, if she can be charged with that. If somebody can think that that is something that she's capable of sitting in a seat and listening to to this.
If the prosecutor thinks he can prove it, he or she could prove it, then yes. Yes. So
I think the death penalty if Charles' case was able to be referenced in this trial, I think that they could prove the DP hands down.
I like that you're still editing yourself for the TikTok guidelines.
I know. I have to like get out of that. I'm so scared of getting banned again that I'm like everything. This is how I'm like talking to people normally now. I'm like on the phone with my friend and I'm like, yeah, they unalived them. And they're like, what did you just say? And I'm like,
I'm
oh,
the same,
killed them.
like, and
Sorry.
I'm always saying the wrong thing. And I'm always like,
Yeah.
so this person got murdered, and you're like, no, they were unalived. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I suck at this. I have to be more
No, it's
careful.
hard. It's like the words that we use, right? And we're just talking about facts, so it's really hard to like censor the facts.
It's
Um
crazy. It's
yeah, I
crazy.
just think that Charles's murder not being able to be referenced is
Reference.
really even going to be hard for like because if you listen to Melanie Gibb talk, the whole thing that she talks about is the time during Charles's murder because
Mhm.
that's when she lived in the same place as them and were like as Lori was her best friend and was closest to her. Once she moved to Rexburg, Melanie didn't see her like that.
Right. Right.
And so I'm like, that's what we were talking about on live last night. I was like, just started to think about that. And I was like, wait a second. I need to talk to Stephanie about this because I need to know what can and can't be referenced in that case. Like, what, because I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, the case is going to be so much harder to prove. Like, you essentially have to prove that one day she woke up and just wanted to do this without Charles's background in it.
So here's the thing. What will happen typically, and this is a pre-trial conference, right? So what will happen prior to the trial taking place is the judge, the defense attorneys, and the prosecutors will go back into chambers, or they might do it in court without anybody else in the courtroom. And they have a pre-trial conference. And during the pre-trial conference, they discuss motions in limine. And motions in limine set out restrictions that will take place during the trial. And they can be anything, right? Sometimes during trials during trials, like for instance, I'll give you an example one. We sometimes ask that um, during an officer's testimony that he be precluded from talking about military service because it gives extra credibility to the officer. It bolsters his credibility in terms of the jury, right? It makes them seem more credible because they served in the military. Okay.
Okay.
Now, what sometimes the judge grants that, sometimes the judge doesn't grant that, but that's just an example of like a form motion in limine that we ask for, right? So it could literally be anything. It could be you can't say the word assaulted. It could be you can't say the word I don't know, insane, right? It could literally be anything. You can come up with any motion in limine you want to come up with.
So
So what will
who's
happen?
coming up? Can you just explain a little bit like who, if the defense attorneys say this, does it everybody have to agree or like,
So the prosecutor and the defense attorney come up with their own. Both sides come up with their own list, and then so for instance, like when we would say the one about the military record, the prosecutor would argue against that it's it's relevant to his history and how he became an officer, and it sets up how he came to serve as a police officer. It's his life story, and then the judge will listen to both arguments and the judge will make a ruling. Okay. So
okay.
what I imagine will happen here is the prior or the pending criminal action in Arizona for the death of Charles will be one of the things that they discuss being brought up during the case because
Okay.
it technically is a prior bad act that is relevant to the case. But that again is if Lori testifies, then they could use that, right? But if Lori doesn't testify, there's a whole bunch of other things. It is super complicated and we're not really going to know how the judge is going to rule on it until we get there.
Right. And then also too, like if the prosecutor at any point brings up Charles's name, it's free reign for like in the line of questioning for the defense to use that in some way, right?
It would probably be the opposite, right? Because the defense is probably going to ask that that be precluded, that Charles not be brought up. So if the
Okay.
defense somehow brings it up, then the prosecutor's like, "Oh, you open the door. Now I can talk about Charles as much as I want." Haha.
Got
Like
it.
kind of a
Okay,
thing.
that makes much more sense the way that you
Yeah.
said it than I said it.
So, like, if somebody opens the door, then now we're talking about Charles the whole damn trial. And now the fact that she's charged with his murder comes in. But Charles is also super important to the timeline. So, I'm not
Yes.
really sure how we get around.
I know, the timeline, the state of mind, the things that happened. I mean, it takes you days to get through everything that happened with Charles and only a little bit of time with the kids because so much happened from the time of that Lori met Chad until Charles's death. Most of it.
You have to tell that story and subtract Charles out of it.
I know. You can't.
They're going to have to try. They're going to have to do it somehow because the defense is going to ask that it be precluded because it's not really relevant to this case.
It's that's where I'm like, how though? Like it's so relevant. It's in my brain. Like I get it.
Right, to us, to the actual murdering of the children and how it
Yeah.
came about, like the demon thing and the religious indoctrination and all of that stuff. Does Charles play a part in that? Does Charles's death play a part in the unaliving of the children and Alex Lurie's brother and Tylee acting how Tylee like finally discovering and realizing.
I mean, to me, yes, right? Because maybe because the only reason they unalive or killed Tylee was because she saw what happened with Charles. Like maybe that was the whole, you know what I mean?
If that's the theory, the prosecute. Sorry, guys. If
That's
that's the reason the prosecutor, I'm like so happy I could jewel on screen right now.
I know.
If that's the reason the prosecutor is saying that Tylee was killed, then yes. But if they go with the theory that Tylee was killed because she was asking questions, then no. We don't know what the prosecutor's theory of the
Yeah.
case is going to be.
And also like what the evidence is. Like what did Lori
Correct.
give for reasoning of why they were doing it? Like did she give a
Right.
reason that related to Charles of why they did it? Then that just like totally brings it in and is like this is very relevant because if this situation didn't happen, this situation might not have
Right. It's
happened.
like it's like dominoes, right? Like one
Yeah.
falls and then the other falls and then the other falls. But really the focus of this trial is going to be Tammy, Tylee, and JJ.
Mhm.
So and they could just start the trial. They could start the timeline with Tammy's death and go forward from there. They don't really need to
I
go
know.
backward, and then
I know this is going to be so interesting.
it because like there's like a lot that goes on behind closed doors and like prior to all of us even seeing any parts of the testimony that it's difficult for me to even say where they're going to start because I don't know what we don't know what the evidence is yet and we don't know what they're going to discuss, what the parameters are going to be. There's so many different things that could happen between now and April 3rd. I mean, we don't even know if they're doing the death penalty yet.
I know. I know. This is like honestly, if I would pay so much money to be like a fly on that wall in that courtroom to know what was like to hear
I
that.
told you I would fly out with you. I was like, let's take a vacation and we'll fly out and we'll try to get on the reservation list.
If not, we'll stand at the door with our ears just like pressed up against it. I wish that it was different, obviously, that we could watch it. But I ultimately like Lori and Chad need to go to jail. And that's all I care about. Like they need to be fully punished for this situation. And Alex, but Alex is dead. So like whatever, you got your karma already. Um yeah, it's going to be a wild one and I can't wait to go through freaking all of it.
It's gonna be a wild ride. It really is going to be a wild ride, and I'm looking so forward to, like, seeing it all play out because there's nothing more interesting to me as a defense attorney than watching a trial. Like,
I know.
whenever there is a trial going on, like a really interesting trial at work, I'm like, "I'll be upstairs watching the trial. See you guys later. Bye." Like,
I'm literally so excited to have you to be able to ask, right? Because I can watch the trials, but like a lot of the time, I'm not fully understanding what they're saying or what that objection was or why. And so I'm so excited to just be like, hey, what is going on? Like just in general in like our life, just being able to say, hey, Stephanie, what does this mean?
don't worry, there'll be a sketch artist though, so we'll get to see those pictures. So that'll be
I cannot
fine.
wait. I hope they draw Lori so funny.
I imagine them drawing her like super gaunt and like eyes sunken in and
Yeah,
like
like
stringy
old
blonde hair. Yeah, yeah, like
freaking crypt keeper sitting there.
yes, that,
Just
like that. I just like that's what I imagine it being like. And I'm just like I love courtroom sketches. I think they're the best. I like
they are
wish
funny.
I hope one day I do a trial where they do like a courtroom sketch, but they have to like subtract like 20 pounds. I'll give them like $200 to like subtract 20 pounds for
Just
me.
make me skinny.
Make me skinny. Make me skinny.
Draw me like one of your French girls.
Yes, please. Jack, please.
Jack, draw me like one of your
And he'll be
French
like, my
girls.
name's not Jack, it's Tom. And I'm going to be like, I don't care.
Whatever.
It's
Sure.
Jack today, sir.
Right. If you
Sir.
don't get the joke, just say that, okay?
You don't understand my humor, sir. Like, I understand, but like, please. Whatever, it's fine. But that's where we're at, guys. We just
Yeah.
said a whole lot of things. I don't know if you got it all, but we said a lot.
Listen, this is us. We bounce around. We talk about everything and anything because we'll say one thing and be like, "Oh, this one time at band camp,
I was gonna say at band camp.
this happened," or like this is relevant to this, and then I'll be like, "Wait, wait, wait." You'll always hear me go, "Wait, wait, wait. Hang on, I have to ask you this before you keep going." Because if I don't ask, my brain will lose it and then it will come back up while I'm laying in bed at 3 a.m. and I'm like, "Damn, forgot to ask her that question."
Is that why I have like 1,000 DMs when I wake up in the morning?
Yeah, most likely because yes. And even probably from other people because
It's
happens every
always
single time.
every time.
I'm on live and I'm talking about the case. And every few things that I say, I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to ask Stephanie that question." Okay, and then I keep and I'm like, "Oh, that would be a really good question for stuff." Like
I
every
know. I think
single
the same thing, and I'm like, I have to ask Gianna like what the timeline was here. And I'm like, oh my god, that I forget because I
Well, it's so hard for me to keep the timeline of like the legal stuff, and the case. I couldn't even imagine having to keep the timeline of the case and the legal stuff. So like that's where we are really good at. I'm going to get all of the like layman people information about it. You get all of the legal stuff so you can explain to us layman people what the F it means and then we can come together. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too. This is gonna be so much fun.
It's going to be good.
I love a good educational podcast. It's like true crime for fun.
And that's where, you know, I don't love theatrical shit. I just like I do like I love a good musical, but in terms of we're both from New York. And so I can't listen to people that are drawn out or like say like, "Oh, I'm going to get to this," and then just like 10 minutes of a story before like that pertains to that one. I'm like, "Just can you tell me first? Tell me the thing first and then the story." Because I'm like, "Oh my god, get to the," and that's the New York in us, right? Cuz we're like, I need you to just talk faster. And so I think that's what you guys are really going to love from me and Stephanie is like even if there is a story, it's condensed down. And we're like, you know what I mean? Like we're like we got to get it out fast because we got a lot of other shit to say. And I think that's what you like about it too, is that we're not just
I hope so.
Yeah, right? Like, well, I mean, I listen to a lot of shit and I'm like have to put most of the things that I listen to in like 2 times speed. Just I
Oh my
can't I
God.
have
We already talk fast. Like, can you imagine what we sound like in two times
chipmunk.
speed? Yeah, it'd be
You wouldn't even be able to understand it. Sometimes I put people in 2 times speed and it sounds like they're like talking like I do. And I'm like, "How do you live your
I
life
talk
this
so
way?"
fast. Sometimes when I'm in court, the court reporter's like, "Can you slow down?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was talking so fast. This is the normal way I speak." I'm like, "I'm
I
so
can't imagine
sorry."
talking slow.
Me neither. I mean, like, I don't. I mean, like, whatever. It is what it is. But
It's just the lifestyle, right? It's just like where we live. It's just the part of the country that we live in. But my point was, right? This is the tangents that we get off of. My point was is that I hope that we are able to deliver you guys, and I know that we will, the information very quickly to the point, but also have our like really awesome like side, and my dogs don't ever stop barking, the side conversations as well.
yeah, I think you guys will. I think you guys are gonna dig it. Dig it. That's a
Well, you already
70s.
dig us.
Yeah. And my big hair today, and what a voluminous hair today.
The voluminous hair. I know you have such like I had to bring my kids somewhere, and so I didn't get to like my hair. This is the same hair I've had for like 2 days now, and I'm like, okay, I gotta take a shower. Yeah, that's really all we got for you guys today. I think that if we go any further, we're just gonna go into like rabbit holes that we
Yes,
don't have time
I
for.
agree. I agree. I agree. That was a good introduction of us for today.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, that was good. Also, we love Halloween
We also love Halloween, so
and
there'll be some
skulls
Halloween specials
and witches.
and witches. Yeah, there'll be some Halloween specials.
Literally like live from Stephanie's gonna be live from underneath her 10-foot skeleton.
Yeah, it'll be magical. You guys are gonna be like, "What is this bitch doing?" And I'm gonna be like, "I'm so sorry. Halloween is life." So, but that's pretty much it for today, I guess. And I guess we will be posting our next one next week. So we'll get a timeline set up for you guys on like when our next episodes will be posted. So, and I will have the ability to also edit soon. So then we will be on a much better schedule.
Yeah,
But yeah, I hope you enjoyed day one.
day one
Day
podcast.
one. Day one
All
podcast
right,
done.
guys. Have a good rest of whatever part of the day that you're listening to this in, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.